Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. I'm really excited for this week's guest, Amy Mingin.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Let's have a good chat, hey?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World. What's been a time in your life you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
More courage than any other time. Oh, there's so many. In business, yeah. So I can think of so many different contexts. But in business, I would say it's been me stepping more into a leadership role in the naturopath practitioner world. There's a lot of people who think that they have to be fully professional and never show who they are. So I have ripped the veil, so to speak, so that people can see that I'll sometimes show up a little bit messy. I'll always have a really great insight for them to see, but it's not always fully polished and fully backed up with research. And a lot of the time I'll say, this is my opinion on this. And that's a bit of a gasp in the scientific community. They're like, well, where's the scientific backing in that? So there's been a lot of unlearning to allow myself just to be myself and show up. So that, it might not sound like a lot, but internally it was a really big deal because it was I'd followed the rules for so long. And I was like, well, what happens if I don't? Or what happens if I change things? What happens if I'm doing things the way I want to do it? And I started enjoying it a whole lot more. So it was I was having the courage to actually enjoy myself in business. That was a big thing.
Yeah. It's always interesting when there's a kind of culture and this unspoken kind of agreement in an industry where it's just oh, this is the way that it is. And the people that, make the greatest shifts are always the people who pave their own paths, that go beyond the norm, that go beyond all of the things that are, apparently tried and true. And, the scientific evidence piece is always an interesting battle that you, especially in, nutrition-based things.
Yep.
I was, that science has its place, and there's always that capacity to be able to recognize what's playing out on an intuitive level as well. And often, people's skills get them so far, but I think it's. I read it in Christopher M. Batch's book, The Living Classroom. He says, the techniques are what you use and science is what you use until the real teacher shows up. It's well, then you can actually bring forth all of the things that are most accurate for that person and most required for that person beyond all of the, perfect science-based things.
Totally.
So what do you think about the growth of the industry then?
Well, I wouldn't say it's actually growing,
Okay.
To be totally honest. It feels like they're going more down what Big Pharma's done. They're going more down what the medical establishment wants them to go. There's a whole big movement of natural health practitioners that want to be registered under APRA, and I'm I'm a hell no on all of that. I'm just I actually want to have the freedom to be able to use everything that's in front of us, not have these teeny tiny little boxes that we've got to treat people within, because people are whole already. Let's help them find the way that they can realize that for themselves. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm here to help facilitate the journey with them so they can be oh, I actually knew this all along. Great, go do it. It's awesome. Yeah.
What do you find is the gap for people to be able to, implement the things? They recognize this is what they probably should be doing to be able to get their health in order, but then they recognize that there's a gap and they're not doing those things.
There's something to do with it feeling really hard. And so I would say the gap is starting with something small. So if someone's not walking, go to your letterbox then. Oh, I'm at the letterbox, I might as well go for a walk, is usually what happens. Oh, someone's not drinking water, then buy a bigger drink bottle. If you got to lug that thing around, there's a really funny meme getting around at the moment. People saying that they're emotional support drink bottles. It's like I could pick mine up from under the table and put it on here and like takes up half the space. But like if you've got that and you're lugging it around, it's like, you know, it's a pretty good incentive to get it finished so you don't have to keep lugging it around, right? So, I mean, health will be the thing that is your total focus until you're healthy. So why not focus on it?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big gap with entrepreneurs, with a whole lot of business people. They think that they just kind of take it for granted. But what if they're wandering around at like 30% when they could be closer to 100%? And that's really where I think if they learn to fill in the tiny gaps, they're going to feel so much better, so much faster.
Yeah, I love all of that. I definitely, you know, like especially in social situations, I have like my emotional drinking. Like I recognize sometimes even when I'm like facilitating events as well, it's just like I will drink to stop me like saying something. I'll just be like, so I can definitely see the emotional support piece of that.
Totally.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of see how it plays out as well with health. I think I saw a podcast recently with Daniel Priestley on it, and it's like, you know, health is that thing that, you know, you've got a million different goals until you lose your health and then you've only got one.
Exactly. I think I saw him do that one. I was like, boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's one of the things as well. Most people look at it, you know, they don't see it as like, you know, health being foundational and then performance above that. They don't check in to be able to go, okay, cool. How did I actually perform today? What was my energy levels like? How am I, you know, a great measurement of it is like, do I wake up with energy? Do I go to bed, you know, grateful? It's like all of those things determine how we're actually going to perform throughout the day. And most people are just like, oh no, I'm healthy.
Yeah. But the big thing is like health isn't just choosing a salad. Health isn't just because, you know, you can open your eyes each day and walk around, or you can go to the gym. Maybe people look really aesthetic and they think that's healthy. Do you know how many bodybuilders I've helped fix their gut and help them get their periods back? And like there are a lot of unhealthy bodybuilders too, you know, but gosh, they look so good. So, and vice versa, like sometimes there's some people who are really overweight, but like when you check all their markers, they're actually like really healthy. So it's like we can't judge it by just looking at someone. And I think there's a lot to say about our lifestyles these days, like so much to say about our lifestyles. Like if you think back, I don't know how old you are, but I think you're in your 30s, which means you were probably a kid in the 90s, which means you probably played outside a hell of a lot more than what kids do these days. And it's just like what changed during childhood to now have like kids that they're indoors, and there's like that big meme about kids being iPad kids. And I'm like, I actually asked my kids the other day, I'm like, are you guys iPad kids? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, good.
I saw a recent one where it's like the next generation is like there's these two guys and they're in a bar and they're starting fighting, and then someone comes in and puts an iPad in front of one of them and they're just like all happy again in the middle of this bar fight. It's like this is the future.
Stop. That's so good.
Yeah. So backstory with me as well. Like I was national natural bodybuilding champion, and
nice.
I was like, you know, winning trophies and all of those things. And, you know, I just felt dead inside. My body was so lean. I think I can't remember what it was, but I got my testosterone markers done, and it was like 3.2 or something, which is like
tanked. Yep.
So I had to go through, you know, like it was like years of like recovery from that, because you're basically you're strategically starving yourself to be able to look good.
Yep.
It's not, and that was one of the things when I was in the PT industry. I was in it for about 6 months before I realized I was like, fuck, this is a vanity industry, not a health industry.
Yes.
And that was very much against why I'd gotten into it. I got into that industry to be able to help people. And I'm like, all the people that want to work with me don't care about their health so much. They care about how they look.
Yep.
And that was like a big eye-opening moment for me to be able to recognize, There was also like another piece to it that I was thinking about yesterday, which was like, the people that need a PT or they need health are the people that often don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like the people who don't need it, they're the people who are like, right, well, I'm going to enhance this. I'm going to make myself much better at my performance. I'm going to actually start to be proactive with this so that I can actually start to increase my output by actually putting my health first.
Yeah.
And I think that was like it was a shock for me in recognizing so many people that, say that they're going to the gym, I want to be healthy. It's like, oh, well, what's underneath that?
Totally. Like, what is the driver? Because I can tell you I'm lifting weights so that I can carry the groceries in one go. I'm lifting weights so that I don't have to rely on like something to like pull myself up. I want to be able to, I always have a joke, like I want to be able to scale a fence and jump it if we do have a zombie like apocalypse one day. I'm just like, I want to get the heck over that fence, Like I'm not doing this just for aesthetics, although it's nice, but there's so much more to it. Apparently in nursing homes, one of the worst things that they're all afraid of is getting stuck on the toilet. And that's because they don't know how to squat anymore.
Yep.
It's just like, well, humans, we have to squat.
Yep.
So there's like functional motions that our body needs to go through. This is not just a vanity metric or who can lift the heaviest. It's actually part of our longevity, and it's like we're banking it now, ready for later on. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was a PT as well, there was like, you've got like bodybuilders, you've got CrossFitters, you've got all those different people, and a lot of the underlying movement patterns, like just the ability to be able to squat, to be able to get your butt to your ankles. So many people don't have that capacity, and there were actually like many movement modalities that were created for people to be able to do that, especially for older generations, because what they recognize is in your younger years you can get down and up, but just the simplest component of like sitting down, standing up, getting up on one leg at a time because you've like broken your wrist or your ankle or any of those things, it's very, very, very difficult for people until they actually start to prioritize their health.
Totally.
And, I remember I had these couple of guys that used to train with me. They lived in Perth, but then they'd fly over to Brisbane every week because they were doing a consulting thing 4 days a week in Rio Tinto.
Yep.
And they would come in and they basically had, one of the guys was like, oh, I've had this ankle and back pain for the last 10 years. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's see how you move first. Let's just do some assessments on where you're at. And basically he couldn't squat. And all that we did was I got him to sit in a squat for like 30 seconds a day and just build that up over a period of time. It's like take that first step, go to the litter box, and then get it up to 45 seconds. And from that, he's like, all I did was sit in a squat, and now I don't have that back pain. Now I don't have that ankle pain. It's like people discount those tiny little things that are going to compound over a period of time. And I think, with health, it's very, very, very easy for people to be able to, not take those first steps.
Yeah.
So in recognizing that starting is, one of the most important things, what do you say to people beyond, take the first step to allow them to start and then also keep going?
The keeping going is a thing for a lot of people too, because they might start something for say a week. It's probably 3 weeks. Granted, most people by about the 3-week mark, they kind of get bored of it. They're looking for something new. That's actually the time to keep going. So it's actually like that's the breakthrough moment. So that's where it becomes less of the external validation. They're not like looking for somebody else to keep them going. It becomes that, oh, I just did this for 3 whole weeks and I get to do it for another 3 weeks. So it really is helping them to find ways that they can celebrate themselves. And I have a practice that I get all my clients to do, and I call it WWWT. So what went well today? So I'm like, do your WWWT every night. And what it's actually doing is helping them see all the great things they've done, the things that have happened in the day. It's a form of gratitude, but it's more so like that self-reflection exercise, because how easy is it to go through your day and be like, oh, but I didn't tick that one thing off my list. And so then you become hyper fixated on trying to get that done tomorrow, but you've missed all the other things that you did great. And so the other theory behind this is really to help reprogram the subconscious that it's doing well. Rather than I missed things, oh, look at all these great things that I did. And so it's helping to perpetuate the greatness in their life as opposed to looking at what's missing. So if they were just to bring in that WWWT every day and just, it doesn't need to be long, it can literally be 2 minutes. Then they're like, I did some stuff today. I feel good about it. Go to bed. And then the next day, they're going to want to do the thing again. They're already getting this internal validation about it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm reading The Gap and the Gain. Have you read that before?
Oh, no, but I have heard of the concept inside the 10X book.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
So same author.
Okay.
So it's Dan Hardy and the strategic coach guy. What's his name? Dan
Martell.
No,
No,
not Dan Kennedy.
They're all Dans.
They're all Dans. That's what I was thinking the other day. I'm like, all of these people, massive people in the industry, they're Daniels.
Yeah.
Not Daniel Kennedy. Anyway, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But he's co-authoring the book. It's in the 10X book as well, and he's got the entire book on that. And it's about, when you're in the gap, all that you do is you focus on what's missing. And when you're in the gain, you focus on, what you've actually achieved, what you've gained so far.
Yeah.
And the piece of it is like, when you can recognize how far that you've come, that gives you all of the fuel that you'll ever need to actually bridge the gap.
Literally.
Yeah. And most people are too busy focusing on the gap, and, overachievers are biggest at it. They're just like, right, well, yeah, but I didn't do this. And I think it was like in the just after the 1900 or something, it was when society changed the word priority to priorities. Because it never used to actually be plural before the 1900s. And this is what's created all of this,
split focus.
Split focus, shiny object, all of these different things, because it's like, okay, cool. Well, did you get the one thing done today? Did you actually make progress on something today? And, we fall back into very, very, very easily of just going, oh yeah, but I was doing it yesterday. I was like, got to the end of the day and I'm like, like frustrated at myself. And I'm like, I didn't do this and this. And I'm like, what did I do? And I'm like, fucking nothing. And I'm like, geez, mate.
Hang on.
Have a look properly instead of like instantaneously reacting to it all.
Right.
And often that's what happens because we have such a fast response that we don't actually even look.
Yeah.
People will instantaneously go, okay, cool. No, there is nothing. And it's like, well, did you look?
Yes.
And I was looking and I was like, oh yeah, I actually did do that. And I'm like, sheepishly like, okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yes.
But I remember like many times for a long time, me and Jackie have created like a gratitude practice, which is, what I'm grateful for you today is, so it's not about like us, it's about our partner, so that we can actually start to cultivate that more and more. Because what happens is, especially in a relationship, there's this bias that basically says, you'll only see 60% of what they do.
Oh.
So a great example is if I'm out of the house and I come home to the house, then I will only see 60% of the cleaning that's been done. Because if you've got young kids,
makes sense.
Then what happens is like the house has gotten absolutely messy, then it's being tidied up, and then it's gone absolutely messy again. Yeah. So what happens is we unconsciously, especially with our partner, discount what they've done or what they haven't done. And we're unendingly like judging and counting all of these things. Oh, but you did this and I had to do this and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I recognized that playing out. So it was like, right, let's create a system in our relationship where we can actually start to, be grateful for the things that they've done.
Yeah, I like that.
So what are some of the other tools that people can utilize to increase their capacity to be able to focus on the health more beyond gratitude?
Oh, well beyond gratitude. I would say that the number one thing is to find a sense of safety in themselves. so many people are just going for it and getting stressed out about their metrics. Like I wear an Apple Watch, right? And I notice myself sometimes getting like hyper fixated on the numbers. And I'm like, what if you just went for a walk? Shut up. Like just go for a walk.
You sound like my internal voice.
Right? And it's like, because I go for goals and I'm like, I want to achieve the goal. There's the only person who I'm cheating if I'm not going for the goal is myself. My Instagram glitches sometimes and it won't post the thing that I've just spent an hour creating, and it wipes it. And I'm like, and if I don't do it again, I'm only hurting myself. So I just sit there and I'm like, and huff through it. And it can be the same with health some days. It's like, I don't feel like lifting that damn weight today, but that's all the more reason to do it, because I'll be grateful for myself doing it later. My sleep will be improved having done it later. But if I'm not feeling safe in myself, that I guarantee it, that'll be the day where I let myself off the hook. It's just like I'll get distracted on something else, or I'm laying flat on the couch because I'm like, I'm out. No. And it's just like if I go into a freeze response, that is actually the hardest thing to like pull myself out of it. And it's like I don't want to sit and do any breath, but I know that is my way out of this. And I'm like, I see it. I'm just going to sit here for a bit longer. And if I'm not feeling safe, then I have all the tools. I have all the resources. But if I'm not being my own best friend, my own coach, my own like safe self, then health can't happen that day. So it's like it's really about finding that sense of like, well, what have I committed to today? And what is one thing that I can do? Because usually just doing that one thing is enough to like break through that freeze response and come back to safety again. But that is huge, not only with me, but everyone who I know. They're just like, I really want to do the thing, but I'm just frozen. I'm like, So we need to figure out some resources for ourselves of whatever works for each person. Because for me, I say walking is medicine. If I'm starting to like go off with the fairies, or I'm just like not doing the thing I know that I need to do, and I'm just like going on every other tab apart from the tab I need to be on my computer, I'm like, go for a walk, come back in 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden I can do it. So it's just like find your safety, find your resources, and it doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't even need to cost anything. It literally can just be something that you know is your go-to, that you can just, that is, let me say here, that is also a healthy habit, because I think some people's go-to might be something that makes them switch off or shut down. So yeah, if you are looking at things like, so the main thing that I'm thinking of, somebody might be like, oh, well, laying down and watching Netflix during the middle of the day is going to make me feel better. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe it will, but it's not really going to help you because it's still going to like keep you in that freeze response. So maybe look at, is journaling a thing for you? Is breath a thing for you? Is movement a thing for you? Just really depends on the person. But if we find more of these healthy habits that we can go to, then it's an easy way through it, as opposed to sitting in it and ignoring it.
Yeah, I love that. I unendingly pace, Jackie calls it. He's like, oh, he's pacing. Because if something's like not landing and I'm like stuck, then I just start walking around the house, and I'm like walking around like the edge of the room and trying to do like all of these laps, and I'm going around everywhere. I do it in our holographics event as well when I'm facilitating people. It's like I'm trying to, in the middle of facilitation, it's like I'm going for a walk, just like leave, and they're just like, where's he going? I'm like, I'm doing my walk. I've got to let it land. We're gonna get it together, but I'm doing my walk first.
There we go. You've got resources.
Yeah. How do we get to the ability to be able to discern when we are utilizing a resource compared to turning it into a coping mechanism? So it's like, if we go down the Netflix example, it's like, yes, that can get us out of it, but it's also almost falling into a coping mechanism. How do we understand the difference?
Oh, well, it's nuanced, isn't it? So I think each individual is going to know like where their barometer is internally. And if you haven't figured it out yet, then maybe challenge yourself more often. I would say like go take a thing that feels risky to you, and you'll know where your edge is, and then pull back from there, and then, you've got to play with your edges in order to figure out what your capacity is, in order to then create resources in order to move through the capacity. So I would say the difference between a resource and a coping mechanism, or let's say even something that I would call a pacifier, is one will feel like you're self-soothing and the other will feel like you are still feeling and you'll somewhat have a breakthrough on the other side. So one is almost more like a stuck state, and it's just like, I'm cold, I'm going to put a blanket on. And the other one is more so like, I'm feeling cold. How would I like to feel? I'd like to feel warm. I'm going for a walk. So both are going to get you warm. However, one is more passive and one is more active. Does it mean that either are right or wrong? Not necessarily, because I think there's a time and place for both. But it'll be up to the individual to see like, oh, am I just using this as a coping mechanism? So in the naturopathic world, I'm very much, I wouldn't say I'm anti, because some people will get supplements when they talk to me, but I'm less prone to say, here, take a supplement for this. I'm more prone to say, well, where can we fit this in a lifestyle, dietary, nutritional way first? Because if we're filling that in there, they're not going to need to rely on that. And I would say this is more the coping mechanism over here, whereas this is more like self-resourcing.
Love that. How does the nervous system fit into all of this then?
Oh, it's the ruler. I would say the nervous system is like the king or queen orchestrator. So if the nervous system is out of balance or dysregulated, then that person is going to be showing symptoms or running patterns that are going to feel more like they're in survival or feel more like they're trying to find a way to cope, as opposed to, again, pushing that edge and being like, oh, I'm going into a growth zone. It's a little uncomfortable. And there's that difference between being in fight or flight long periods of time versus this amount of eustress, like EU stress. It's like eustress is very, very good for the body. It's actually helping us move through a whole bunch of like so-called mountains in our mind. And, if we go back into the gym for a minute, it's like one day you can lift X amount. Let's say somebody's deadlifting 100 kilos. And then the next week they're like, I'm going to try 110. That's a bit of eustress, right? They don't know if they can do that yet, if they've never done it, but they're going to give it a go. And how much full activation of their body does that require, and getting their whole self on board in order to lift that whole amount of weight, as opposed to just thinking about it. Like, oh, I could maybe if I tried. And then the nervous system is going to be ruling the background of that, right? So there's going to be people, the high achievers, who are like, yeah, give it to me, I'm going for it. But then there's the people who are like, maybe have the potential, but maybe they've not even stepped foot inside a gym before. So I think that there's such a spectrum to the nervous system and such a spectrum to the actual human experience for like how much somebody's actually going to go all into something, or whether they are just more of that observer of life and they kind of feel like they need to plan and think about things for a whole lot longer before they feel willing and ready to take action.
Mm-hmm. How does the integration of like the nervous system and then the mindset kind of NLP mentality integrate then?
So, well, that's the thing. The more I've reflected on NLP, the more I recognize it's more of a cognitive function than anything. So I think for particular rep systems, it's helpful. And I think if somebody is highly AD, it keeps them in AD. I personally, I'm more like a visual kinesthetic as my dominant. And then I built up my auditory and I built up my AD. My AD was my total weakest. But the beauty of learning it and figuring it out is now I can systematize things and put things in more logical order rather than it just being like, let's mind map everything. I'm just like that. I'm just creative. And so I think NLP works on more cognitive sides of things, which can help people in a way to segment things and follow a logical order. But there's like this lacking of nuance and the nuance of human emotion into it. So I feel like it keeps someone in their mind, and someone might change their mindset about something, but their body hasn't come on board yet because the nervous system isn't yet integrated with the NLP mind. So in order for somebody to kinesthetically bring that new idea in, kinesthetically have a new belief come on board, I believe that we move through it in an experiential way. So it's like, okay, if it's me, for example, and I've learned a new NLP concept, then I would try it out in the wild. I'd try it with a new person. I would speak about it with a client. I would do this. So it's that layer of like, once you teach something, it gives you another level of competency, right? And so that's how I tend to apply things in my life. But I think in the traditional NLP model, it's not necessarily taught in that way. It's kind of like, do this, follow the script, full stop. And I'm like, I'll be honest and say I only ever read the scripts while I was in the room learning it. The rest of the time I went rogue. But that's how I do life. I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I did this. Oh, I wonder what would happen if I said it this way. Oh, I think this person needs this. So it's also in my case, it's bringing a level of intuition to it. But then what's intuition? I also feel like that's also, in my world anyway, it's very much linked to my nervous system. If I'm feeling full stress, it is very hard to connect with my intuition.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's probably more like a triangulation there between like NLP concepts, cognitive, plus our cognitive biases that come in with that, and all of our psychological biases and what have you from our past, then whatever our body is already believing, which also is programmed by that. But then it's also this experience and like, how are we actually moving through life with it, as to like, are we integrating it as we go? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about it in terms of the 4 different bodies. You've got like the mental body, which is, NLP. You've got the emotional body, which is, polyvagal theory.
Yep.
You've got somatic work, which is like the physical body, and then like the spiritual body work as well, which is, most people get caught in medicine realms for all of that. They unendingly take medicine unendingly, but don't actually create any level of mental integration of it or any integration into their emotional body or their physical body, so they become disconnected. And I think that's definitely what we're shifting into, and more of a coaching space is more of an actual integrative approach rather than just a marketing integrative approach that we can see. And, when we can actually start to, pull from different things, that's where a lot of the magic starts to occur, rather than just being, all about that one thing. And I think that, there's a few people who teach NLP who also have like nervous system certificates that actually go in with it, that has actually started to create shifts with that. And I definitely think that that's what's, both required in the industry, and it's kind of being called upon from the industry at the same time as well.
Yeah, I agree.
What are some of the things that you see playing out in the kind of transformational industry as a whole at the moment?
I think somebody actually asked me a similar question the other day, and they were like, what do you think about like all this nervous system regulation stuff? And I'm like, well, what do I think of it? I think that it's like, it is the thing. And if people haven't been focused on it, it's time to. So whilst it has a bit of a trendy buzzword right now, it is the work that I've always done, which is great. I'm like, cool. Society's caught up. This is great. What was the question again? I just went on a tangent. Where's the coaching?
Yeah, where's the coaching industry? Like, what are the things that we're moving into?
Yeah. In the transformational space.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people becoming a little bit like deer in headlights around the spiritual aspects of things. And I think, actually, I see a lot of people turning to Jesus. I'm definitely seeing a lot of that.
Yep.
But not in a traditional Bible way, in like a more unity, oneness way, which is cool. I personally don't go to church, but I have always been intrigued with the love aspect of it. I think that so long as I'm not huge on like the rules around religion, but I like the feeling of the community who are heart-centered, who go to church, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I see that coming through, that there's a lot of people who probably feel like they paid a lot of money, they didn't necessarily get a lot of transformation, and if anything, they may have ended up feeling like they went backwards instead of forwards. But I'm also a really big believer that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And so if these people are looking towards their transformation, that there was something in that for them that maybe they just didn't pick up on yet. And I can see that there is a definite need and a want of the nervous system stuff, but also with the rise of AI, I see a lot of people are now wanting more personalized stuff. They're wanting more of the human, which is really funny because a lot of people have been saying to me, oh, I'm scared of being replaced by AI. And I'm like, you are not getting replaced anytime soon. Like, honestly, if you can't write better than ChatGPT, then there's something up. Like the good old word salad of ChatGPT is like very obvious, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few different things in it. I think that people are actually calming into themselves and like becoming more authentic, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So the coaches that are still coaching, I find they're actually finding their own frameworks, their own methodologies, and there's kind of like some new innovation coming through. So yeah, I'm excited actually with where it's headed.
Yeah, it's interesting in terms of, people in their journey, often people, come into the transformation industry with, all of the highest intentions, and they go from course to course to course. And then sometimes, they go down the finding Jesus path. And it's interesting to be able to see the level of, I guess, shift in people in terms of, how the industry has evolved as it starts to mature more and more and more, because there are more and more people who come into the industry, but then there's also more and more people who leave. And then there's also more and more people that have been in long enough to be able to kind of see that kind of pattern that plays out. And, when the common threads that play out throughout the industry, it's just like, well, you just got to, charge your worth. You just got to, do this. And I have a huge thing with, I'll do a bit of a tangent on it. People who charge their worth, they're pretty much already lost, because it's like, if you've got a low ticket offer, you're not meant to charge your worth. You're meant to create an appropriate value for someone so they can experience you, so that then they can actually do an actual program with you. Totally. And people are like, oh, I charge your worth for that. It's like, no. Yeah. It's the same thing for even like mid or high ticket. It's like, you don't charge your worth. You charge what is appropriate based on the transformation that you're creating, based on where that person is in their journey. It's 100%. Like, as soon as you've associated your worth with your prices, it's like, okay, cool, you've lost.
Yep.
So, I have many gripes with the industry like that.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
When people are also put into high level containers when they've like sold a house or something like that, so they've got the money, but they're not actually at the growth point of that.
Yep.
Creates all of these things playing out in the industry, which then has a lot of people shift to going, okay, cool, where do I get this without having to invest, $50,000, $100,000?
Yep.
And I think that's, one of the pieces that I've recognized for so many people going down that path, and so many people have been disgruntled with the industry because of being, unendingly sold things. It's like, well, okay, you want to hang around us? Well, buy the next thing.
Yeah, right. Big time. Big time. I wouldn't have such an issue with it if they actually said it's a pay-to-play pathway with us. If they just said that in the beginning, cool. All right, tell me what that is. As opposed to like, we're not going to answer that until you're in this. It's behind that door over there. It's like, it's going to cost you another 20K. It's like, well, I don't know if I want that. Yeah. So to me, it's funny because I didn't necessarily have a negative connotation with the amount of money I've spent per se. Sometimes it's been about like the actual deliverables inside of the course or inside of the mastermind or inside of what it was. That was different to what was sold in the beginning. So I've just had these little bits of like, but then I'm like, I'm not asking super detailed questions inside the sales call. I already know that I want it if I'm on the sales call. So it's like, a lot of the time I am that person that's like, I'm going to just trust that this is the pathway that I need next. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. And that's how much the value was. whether I believe that was valuable or not is another thing. But, it's up to us to figure that out. And, I don't think that the actual spending of money is ever really the issue. I think it's about the actual human being figuring out what was that experience for me and how can I utilize that next in order to like move forward with it, as opposed to just, focusing on the gap, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that's one of the things as well. We have, it's one of those things that I'm unendingly like checking in with all the offerings that we have. It's like, okay, cool. What did you say that you're going to give to them? Where are you in terms of your level of integrity with that? And also, one of the core questions that I will ask myself is like, right, well, where are you out of integrity with your work? It's like, it's not are you, it's like, where are you? Because we want to be able to increase the level of embodiment over a period of time and actually just start to meet ourselves where we're at and evolve that over a period of time.
Exactly.
If we talk the gapping game concept, it's like, well, you only start to recognize what's there when you become present. It's like when you're present to the past, you can get present to where you are now to actually look up at what you're actually creating. And the same thing occurs with your integrity and whatever you're teaching. It's like the level of integrity that you have in your teachings, that needs to grow over a period of time.
Yep.
Because what will happen is the level of integrity that you brought to your business today is going to determine, your success. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, if you're going to start teaching this thing on an even deeper level, it's like, okay, cool. Where are you out of integrity with that?
Yeah.
I was teaching a piece on like content last week at our high level mastermind. And I was like, okay, I have a love-hate relationship with content. It's like sometimes I'm all about it and other times I'm just like completely hands off. Just the team chop me up when I'm speaking on stage.
Yep.
And, it's important to be able to basically recognize where you're at and actually bridge that gap of the level of integrity that you have, because it's one of the things that I see in most people. Most people get stuck because they don't ever start to look at, okay, cool, well, how do I actually increase my embodiment? Yes, you're embodied already. How do you increase that level of embodiment? How do you journey that internally?
So if I find myself being out of integrity, then I almost always will ask the question of, when was the last time I took a risk? Because I can very easily, this is very human too, to say this, like I can very easily just be like, oh, life is great. I'm in my comfort zone. I love this. I love that. I'm so grateful for it. When was the last risk you took, Amy? So that really is a good wake-up call for myself. I also take note of when I say something to somebody else, like a client, for example, if I've said something and then I recognize I've not done that myself recently as well. And I always have this thing, and I say it to every client. I'm just like, I would never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do, or if I haven't already done. So I can remember asking someone, I said to her, you really need like some avocado oil in your scalp. She's like, I could probably like put avocado in my hair. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. It's just the example that's coming to mind. But it's like, I want to stay in integrity. So like when I'm leading, and this is what probably brings those transformational experiences. And I think that there is like a very such a thin line to walk with this, because sometimes people will see me as perfect and I'm like, I'm very much not perfect. So I have to like smash down the pedestal sometimes.
Yeah.
But I want to be in integrity. So in my health program, I'm showing them exactly what I'm doing. But I'm also saying it from the lens of like, here's my current health goal. So this is what I'm doing. I'm in a different program per se to what they're doing. So I just put it in that context. And in business, if I'm asking them to do something and I haven't been doing it, it's like a very quick like, okay, cool. That's a nice little barometer check of like, all right, I get to do that now. So it's getting uncomfortable again, really.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that for whenever we run our holographics event, we put ourselves through it before we go through it. So every single, doesn't matter like how many times we've done it, like done it more than anyone else. And at the same time, we're running that event. It's like we're going through it again.
Yep.
And that's one of the things. It's like, if you're not willing to be able to eat your own medicine, it's like, well, then you do just become the person who's on the pedestal. But then also what happens? It's like, well, either you're going to knock yourself off that or they're going to knock you off it as well.
Totally.
What do you think is the piece that you've kind of had to face off with recently in terms of bringing a new level of courage? Because it's like, risk requires courage if we're extending on that piece. It's like, what's that thing that you're kind of facing off with courage right now?
There's something that has been swirling for a while for me, and there's something in me that's like figuring out what is, for me personally, what is performative and what is genuine. And am I wanting to take this risk because of a performative thing and so like some form of validation, or am I wanting to take this risk to genuinely push that edge? Because to me, that's very nuanced, right? And the thing specifically that I'm talking about is engaging with PR. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's on the other side of that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it would be really cool. And I imagine I would be great on TV. I imagine I would be great on radio. I imagine I'd be great on multiple different podcasts. But then I'm also like, is there something underneath that that's performative? Because if it is, I'm just going to check myself on that. And so I've let that just marinate for a bit for me. And it does feel like a courageous move. So there is a yes. There's like a big yes to that. But then also I'm like, I'm still just like ego checking myself. Is that actually why I want to do it? I don't know yet. So I'm just like letting myself sit with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. In our holographics event, we talk about like 7 different levels of authenticity, and then performative is like level 2, and then there's like presentative, which is like, okay, cool, now I have to do it in front of a room where I can present it in a certain way. Yeah, and it's this interesting dance because it's very, very difficult to recognize until hindsight with it. It's like, it's like, if your current, so if your social media from like 2 years ago doesn't give you the icks, it's like you're probably not growing. It's probably that you're, just being the same level of inauthenticity, playing out like the same masks, rather than going, oh, okay, cool, I've evolved so much in terms of how my messaging is portrayed and how I communicate to the world. And it's that deeper sense of truth for me. And it's very, very much like being in that dance of like, oh, where am I coming from with this? Where am I coming from with the energy of that? Am I doing it in a shadow way? Am I doing it in an integrated way? What way am I doing it? And, it takes a lot of, reflection and introspection to be able to like actually look at that rather than just going, okay, cool, I'm just going to go over here. It's very interesting to start to see play out. And it kind of plays out with a lot of leaders in different ways as well, because it happens when you start running ads. It happens when you do more PR. It's like this deeper sense of being seen. People start their journey of being seen when they do live, and then they run their events, and then they do media and all of those things. And it's very, very, very nuanced in terms of where you're coming from with that. So totally get all of the things along with it, and the that point of like, yes, but what do you say to people when they're like that with like their health? They're like, yeah, I want to go all in on my health, but I don't know where I'm coming from with it.
To be honest, not that many people go that deep with it. I don't think enough people really reflect deeply on their health, nor do they think about where they're going long term. I think the most people can think about with their health is maybe the next 2 weeks. And so that's why the gyms do so well with like a 6-week challenge, or like I used to do like these apps, and they would do like 6-week challenges where it'd have like a nutrition plan and a gym plan, and you'd complete the challenge, and there'd be prizes and things like that. So I think a lot of people are so used to this like externally validated version of health that are they even going deep enough to be like, well, where am I going with this? Because I have this thing, and it somehow has been popularized. So I don't know if I got it from someone somewhere. Maybe I read it in a book, but maybe that's where everyone else got it too. But I saw it, somebody else said it on social media the other day, but I often go through the lens of when I'm making a decision or when I'm going to say something or when I'm going to do something, it's like, am I doing this? Like, is my 80-year-old self cool with this? Like, I'm checking in with that. And so that's where my health is actually like focused on. So like, I'm 41 next month. So I'm thinking 40 years down the track. I don't really plan that far, but I'm like, I know what I'm doing now is going to pay off down there. It's going to be amazing, right? So that for me feels really integrated. Whereas I feel like those 6-week challenges feels very like performative. If I were to do that, I could do that, but I don't. It's like eating a piece of candy compared to like having a really amazing whole food meal. You know, so for somebody else, I haven't met too many people who go that deep with their health. So perhaps the real question is like, how much do people value their health? And how could I ask more questions in order to encourage them to shift their health value up their values ladder? That would be a more helpful thing for me to be able to help them figure out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the most viral outtakes for this was the comment where I said that most people go to the gym to get the need of connection met, and it's not that they go to the gym to get connection. It's like they have this fear of disconnection, and they feel like they'll be like unloved if they don't actually like work on themselves, and then they're actually going through all the different layers of actually getting to that place. And it was interesting to be able to see. I think YouTube was the most where I got all of these people who go to the gym that are like, but I'm introverted, all of these things. It's like all of these things where it's just like, oh, the level of depth that they've gone to with that was like here. And then there's so many different layers underneath it in terms of like the underlying drivers that we all have with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, most people, only go to that certain level of depth. So how do you allow people to recognize what the next level of depth is with their health then?
Ask them more questions. Ask them what really matters to them, because we're going to place meaning on things, right? That's part of being human. So what are they currently placing meaning on? Where are they spending their time? Because people will tell me what their values are. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about your day. Like, how long are you spending in these things? And then we'll figure out, oh, actually, health isn't even on their values list. So that really is the eye opener for them to get a bit more depth. They're like, oh my gosh, I value social media way more than I realized. Yep, a lot of people do. They love to consume. And so until that mini awakening happens for them, I think many of them just kind of like take it as it comes and kind of wait for things to happen before they take action.
How do you get someone out of that cycle of, waiting for things to happen then?
Have it so that their health does matter to them. So like give them a goalpost. I mean, help them figure out what their goalpost is. So my program Catalyst, I market it like it's a weight loss program, but it's actually a transformational program. So I put a pilot group of women through it. And in my head, I'm like, it'd be so cool if they like released 8 kilos in 8 weeks. Well, that's exactly what they did. But then they like told me all these other changes that they'd made. They'd quit jobs. They'd bought houses. They found new relationships. Their kids were sleeping all of a sudden. All these things changed. I was like, this is pretty cool. And so by giving them a framework to feel safe within and a plan to follow, they then felt safe enough to make other changes in their life. And so that's why I keep saying like health is the foundation. Health is the foundation. Be safe in your body. Then you can go do everything else. So that's really how I get people to do it, is to like follow a framework that they don't have to come up with, because normally they're just trying to get it right. Whereas if they do my version for a bit and then they figure out their version, then it seems to work out for them. Yeah.
So that's like a key point of like people trying to get it right. How do you support people with that? Because that's like a underlying thing throughout society. It's a massive issue.
It's huge. Particularly naturopaths. Like they have this huge perfectionist to the point of they don't even show up because they're too scared of getting it wrong. I just say to them, like, the first 100 things that they're going to do are going to suck, and to just get it over and done with. And they're like, oh, man. So if I basically give them very low expectations of themselves. I give them permission to have very low expectations, so then they can go do the thing, so then they can grow. And then I show them all the ways and help them to reflect on all the ways that they actually did it right. And they're like, I can do this. And then we figure out their particular way and double down on that. So that's the way to do it. That's how I do it anyway.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
How do I do it? How do I allow people to be able to move beyond getting it right? Yeah, there's definitely like a piece of recognizing that, you know, I talk about it in terms of reps most of the time. It's like, you know, a poor rep is better than no rep. And, you know, you probably, you know, in a business context, you're probably 1,000 repetitions away from any goal that you want. And, you know, it's especially in sales, you're really 1,000 no's away from anything that you want.
Yeah, it's huge, hey?
So it's like, well, how long do you want to take to do those? Like, most people are going to take 10 years to do it. It's like, well, you know, if you want to get good at it, it's like shorten the learning curve.
Yep.
Let's make sure that we actually get that done in, you know, a year period instead of 10 years, because that's going to force you to, number one, look at who are you selling to. It's going to look at how you're selling. It's going to force you to actually create a refinement process. We call it like rhythmic refinement. How do you actually just refine the thing that you're doing so that you actually get better at it every single time, rather than just doing it once and expecting it to be perfect? It's like go through this rhythmic refinement. And the first piece of that is like, how do you actually refine your day, which is the WWWT. That's a mechanism of refining your day. And, you know, when you've got that cadence, the issue with most people is their cadence is they review how they've done things at the start of the year, and then that's it. And then it's in another year, comparative to doing it daily in that instance, which actually just starts to create this compounding effect where we actually start to get, you know, this rhythm and momentum from the things that we're doing. And, you know, the other piece as well that I look at is like, you've got to be okay with the first phase, which is what I call the eat shit phase.
There you go.
It's like you start selling from stage. It's like you're going to be shit at that to start off with.
It's awful.
That's why it's called eating shit. It's like, most people don't see it as that. They see that, you know, I've created all these levels of success, so I should be able to do this easily. It's like, well, no, there's an entire phase that we go through, which is the learning curve that you actually start to go through. And when you actually recognize that it's the learning curve to be able to develop the foundational skill of it, then you can actually, you know, go through the repetitions. Because most people, you know, selling from stage is the greatest example, because every single person that I've ever spoken to, they're like, yeah, I can sell easily on a phone. Selling from stage is going to be amazing. Easy.
So different.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to come along to your first event and I'll be there and I'll support you. And absolutely bombs, like no one buys or anything. And I'm like, so remember when I said the eat shit phase?
Yep.
Well, this is what you're in right now. And if we just make these few tweaks, then you start to get more. And then you actually start to go on the growth curve, and then you actually start to get the results from it. But people are too focused on creating a disconnect between where they are and what mastery actually looks like, that they don't actually take the steps along that journey to be able to actually get to that place of mastery.
Yeah.
And, you know, often, depending on how quick you do those repetitions will determine how quickly you get to a level of mastery. And, you know, in the example that I'm talking about is like selling from stage. It's like, well, if you do it once a year, then you're never going to get good at it.
No.
It's like, all right, well, let's do it here. Let's do another one and another one and another one and another one and another one. And that just creates an entire system that allows you to refine the thing that you're working on, which actually creates growth.
That's it. Love it.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's the perfect thing to wrap up on. What's the best way for people to contact you?
Come and see me on Instagram at Amy Mingin. I do also have a website, amymingin.com. And yeah, come send me an audio message actually on Instagram to chat with me. And yeah, let me know your main takeaway from this podcast. I would love to hear that.
Epic. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.